Welcome to our podcast, Disability Warriors, The Download, powered by Liner Legal, your disability warriors, fighting for dignity, justice, and the benefits that you deserve. Each episode, we bring you powerful stories, real legal insight, and everything you need to feel informed, supported, and never alone. Whether you are navigating the complex disability process yourself, supporting a loved one, or just want to understand the system a little better, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit follow now so you never miss an episode. And if you're ready to take the next step, head to our website at linerlegal.com to schedule your free case review.
Because your voice matters.
Your fight matters.
And we're with you every step of the way. Let's dive in. Welcome to a remote site version of the Disability Download podcast, Bonus Bites. I'm so excited to be chilling here with you today, Andrew. How's it going, man?
I'm glad to be here, surrounded by this lush greenery.
Is this real? Is this real greenery?
You want it to be real.
This looks kind of plasticky.
Let's not spoil the illusion.
Well, but by touching it, I'm at least demonstrating that this isn't just a background.
It's
we actually are surrounded by. It's like somewhat Caribbean, but somewhat like Cleveland. We've got kind of a mix of everything here.
Well, I think the green reminds me, I just got home from Seattle, as you know, visiting my wife's family. And the two things stick out at me about Seattle. It's fresh air and tall green trees. So just being around this green, because you come to Cleveland and it's a bit gray, it's a bit muted. And I know it's overcast in Seattle, but there's so much more lush greenery. It was just absolutely wonderful to be around that nature. So I appreciate our first working day back. We're surrounded by nature.
I feel you, man. I just got back from Southern California and sunshine. Palm trees, delicious restaurants. They got everything there for us. But
I could deal with the gloominess of Seattle because Cleveland is gloomy 2/3 of the day. And, we talk a lot about mental health on this podcast. And, it's a proven fact that deprivation of vitamin D is not good for your mood. Seasonal affective disorder can be year-round as a Clevelander on that. But when you go to a place like Seattle and you have so much more outdoor activity that, it helps you get outside. Yeah. So, that's my solution to everyone in Cleveland who's miserable. Move to Seattle.
I like how for like so long we would be here telling people about it. Cleveland's a really great city. It's underrated. And I don't think that we would challenge that or change our opinion on it. It's just there's other great cities too that might be nice to change it up and visit every once in a while.
There's a great argument to make to why you should live in Cleveland. The cost of living. I mean, it has gone up significantly over the years like the rest of the country, but it still is less than many other places. Yeah. We don't have, knock on wood, many natural disaster events.
Right.
We're in proximity of a lot of the country. A lot of places are just 2 hours away. And it is a beautiful city when it's nice out. I mean, we have like the best park system in the world, arguably, with the metro parks.
True.
And the lake, which is a landlocked ocean.
Right.
So there are a lot of, so you asked me before we went on, why don't I just go join my wife's family in Seattle? I said, well, it's not a bad idea. So you asked me, why am I still here? And I don't have a great answer to that.
Other than me.
Other than you. But once you leave, then I guess I can go.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we start talking about all that's changed in our Social Security world since we last sat down and chatted up? Because as I feel every single time when we have a Bonus Bites talk, there's just so much to be caught up on. We've got a government shutdown, which is now in week 2. It's completed 2 weeks. So I guess we're really starting week 3.
Yeah.
We've got some major Social Security proposals that are on the table or whispers about what Social Security might be planning for the near future. So let's just kind of get into it. First of all, the government shutdown. How has that been affecting things, Andrew?
Well, I think as someone who's active on TikTok, what I'm seeing is just significant misinformation. There's 2 things that are being messaged to people. From the right, they're messaging that, A, this is the Democrats' fault, and I'm not going to go anywhere near that line, but the more problematic message is nothing's happening. There's a lot of messaging like this doesn't matter. And I don't think people realize the extent of the damage that's being caused. For instance, we appeal cases as far as they can be appealed in our office. And part of that includes filing lawsuits in federal district court. I have not seen one news agency report that almost all federal district courts have completely stopped adjudicating Social Security appeals. So that means if you filed a lawsuit against Social Security in federal court, it's just paused, meaning nothing happened. So that's what I'm trying to do to get to people. I'm like, there are things happening, but people don't get upset until they feel it. I think a lot of people are saying that the last shutdown ended because of the air traffic controllers.
Right.
Their inability to control the flow of traffic. And, since many people fly, you can feel that. But, with Social Security, there are real things happening to some people, and the messaging just can't capture it. It's just not nuanced enough.
And I think we're nearing one of these big milestone markers where people will start to feel it more, which is that we're a day or two away from the middle of the month when paychecks to government workers won't go out. And I don't think that they've missed a paycheck yet. But as soon as people stop getting paid, but they're still being told that they need to report to work, I think that's going to be a major turning point. I think that you're going to start to hear a lot more rumbling, a lot more complaining. What I've noticed is that for the most part, other than what you're talking about in federal court, Social Security has kind of trudged forward. Our hearings are happening on schedule. The staffs of the ALJs in the Social Security offices, people are for the most part just being resilient and continuing to work and do their jobs. But how long would anybody be willing to keep showing up without a paycheck?
And with the threat that they might not receive their back pay. Now, I am not an authority on that topic, and I know some of the messaging out of the White House can be inconsistent at times, but there has been messaging that, and of course it's a political volleyball to toss around, but no, you're right. I think I look at federal workers in two categories. One's the career people who have been there for their large part of their career. Those people have been through shutdowns. They know that they can ride it out. But there are so many other people that, might be newer into this employment or might be in a precarious financial situation that missing one check is devastating. Yeah. And then add on to the top of that, these vague threats that back pay may not be issued. No, I think we'll certainly see an exodus of employees as they go out. And, there are other things at Social Security I've been hearing. The field offices, which is the front line to the public and to us to get into the Social Security system, is massively overwhelmed. Right. Because many of those employees are in the same boat as everyone we've been talking about. So they're not showing up. We've seen it with air traffic control to a smaller extent already in this. I mean, there's been publicized shutdowns in Nashville. I think Burbank Airport was another. I had a very difficult flying experience over the weekend. I can't tell if it was related to this, but it certainly seemed like it. Yeah. The airport was just too busy. The pilot was sounded like he was speaking from despair. He said to us when we landed in Seattle, he goes, "I don't know what to tell you. There's just another plane at our gate, and there's too many planes," and they called it the alleyway, for us to move forward. I guess that's that little part where they kind of warm up the engines. And he's like, "I don't know what to tell you." And we sat there for 53 minutes. Wow. When we landed. That seems like that would be air traffic control related.
And it's ironic because I flew back to Cleveland yesterday from that Burbank airport, which I think was the first airport that they were reporting people weren't showing up to work at. I didn't notice anything different. Yeah. Totally on schedule, smiley faces all around. Maybe it is that Southern California sunshine that's just helping push people through. But, I think a lot of the air traffic controllers don't actually report to work at the airport anyways.
No, a lot of these places, I think, air traffic control is an incredibly large system. There are people at the airport watching the actual runway and taxiways. But no, I think there's these remote, office centers where they're controlling miles of airspace. Yeah. I also did not notice any issue on my way home. TSA was as friendly as ever, and maybe that goes to the Seattle attitude. But no, there was zero issues on my way out. So it's hard to say. But, if people can live their life as comfortably as at least I did yesterday, then what does the shutdown matter? Checks are coming in. So I think it's just going to have to cause real pain, which is, it sucks because I want it to be over, but at the same time, I don't want to wish pain on anyone.
Right.
So it's an awful position for us to be in as advocates because we know that it's not going to get better. Nothing will happen to make it better until the shutdown's resolved.
Here's what I want to make sure people hear, though, and I know you've said these things on some social media outlets as well, but so far, at least as long as employees continue to show up at work every day, one thing that's not going to be interrupted, benefits are still going out the door. Mm-hmm. There is no risk to people receiving their Social Security disability, Social Security retirement, their SSI checks, survivor's benefits. You will be paid what you're owed, which is good. The offices are still open. They're still taking applications. They're still processing people's appeals. What they've cut back on are things like benefit verifications and things that have to do with like getting replacement cards for things that they assume can just wait. But there certainly is an effect. I expect, as I'm sure you do, that it's an impact that will continue to grow unless there's something that is done soon. But in the short term, people can at least breathe a sigh of relief knowing that they're going to receive benefits. Another thing that I want to make sure we talk about, because we always cover it once we know what it is, but the cost of living adjustment for Social Security, which normally it's announced on October 15th, except they closed the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They laid off all of their employees. They brought them back, and I don't know if you know this, but now October 24th is the date that they're going to release the new COLA for 2026.
Well, I'm happy to see that there is at least a date on the calendar because this is a yearly event, and it's important to so many people, especially with objective rises in inflation. People need their checks to catch up with that.
Yeah.
I will also add, I encourage people to go to the Social Security website. I actually got an email from Social Security today.
I did too.
Kind of wording me to remind people I know.
So Social Security maintains a separate email list for representatives.
So that's what it was.
So because we are appointed representatives registered with Social Security, they send us some targeted emails because they want us, and I believe this is the right thing.
Yeah.
They want us to be a source of information for our clients.
And that's absolutely.
And so what they were telling us to do is remind our clients that they can still go online to file appeals, get benefit verifications, handle a lot of the day-to-day stuff that I think what they're really trying to do is not any different than what they're trying to do when we're not in a government shutdown, is just keep people away from the offices and push them towards online services.
Yeah, and I guess one area that I just thought of are my LTD clients. Benefit verification letters are very important in those cases, so I would just remind anyone who's applying for long-term disability, if the insurance company issues an overpayment, and I've talked about overpayments on many of my own videos, make sure you're providing documentation. So this actually could be an issue for some people on the benefit verification. So check the website. It seemed like you may still be able to get one on the website.
You can get the benefit verification online. It's in office that I think they're cutting back on that. Yeah. I want to transition to something else that is kind of a hot topic, especially in the Social Security disability community. There was an article in the Washington Post. I actually had been talking about it even before the Washington Post article, but apparently inside of the Trump administration, they are considering proposals for they're calling it the super reg, a super regulation, which could have major impacts for people who are applying for or receiving disability benefits. Do you want to talk about what some of the changes proposed are?
Yeah, and I think people need to understand the word regulation. And without getting into the nuances of how our legal system works, regulations are rules that are developed by specific agencies. Social Security is one. They have to propose these rules to the public, allow the public to comment, and theoretically respond to all those comments. Right now, we are hearing, as Michael just said, that there is a proposed regulation coming out, and the main impact of it is it could affect what we call the grid rules, or you might see them referred to as the medical vocational rules. In short, certain people at certain ages age 50, age 55, and then again at age 60 face different rules to show that they're disabled. So people who are 50 years old, who can only perform seated work, they can't do jobs that involve standing and walking. In many cases, they will just automatically be found disabled, even though there might be some sedentary work they could perform. I guess what I'm understanding is they want to push the ages back. Is that what you're hearing? Like maybe it's not age 50 anymore? Is it age 52? Like what exactly are you hearing?
So I'm hearing whispers about a lot of things. Nobody's that I've spoken to has seen anything that approximates a final proposed rule. I've heard pushing ages back because, 50 today isn't 50 what it was when they came out with the medical vocational guidelines. I've heard rumblings that they might do away with age as an eligibility factor altogether, where regardless of whether you're 32 or 61, you have to prove that there's no work at all that you're capable of doing. Here's what I think. I think that this is going to work its way into being very similar to a lot of the other big proposed changes that we have seen happen in the Social Security world, going back to the beginning of the year when, we switched administrations. There have been a lot of big proposed rule changes, doing away with, with electronic signatures on applications. I mean, all kinds of swing for the fences type things that ultimately, after they were announced and they heard the feedback from the public, they reversed course on. I think that a president who likes making big changes, but still cares about his popularity and being able to get other people elected and continue his legacy is going to really struggle to get bipartisan support or even partisan support for changes that go after, frankly, our most vulnerable people, the people who have worked and paid into Social Security for the longest, have the most barriers to finding new employment. Yep. I think if I had to guess, the goal here is going to be to target this older group and say, hey, we're going to do away with age as a factor, which is going to make people say, what the heck is going on? This is terrible. So instead of taking the mile, they're really going to use this to go after the younger people.
Yeah, and I think that's a big problem for them politically because some of the larger voting bases are people in that age group.
Yep.
So we don't know what will happen. We have seen changes to the grid rules before. They eliminated the consideration of language for some people. So we know that they can and will change the so-called grid rules. How extensively and how much legally can they do it? Now, they have authority delegated to them through Congress. So there might be some things that they try to change, which they just can't. And that means this will likely end up in court, and that will mean that the future is very uncertain. But yes, we need to all have our ears and eyes open because this is a system that's under attack perpetually, and now the attack seems a little more scary just because of everything that we've seen this year with the new administration.
Yeah. Definitely kind of like a couple finishing or furthering thoughts on this. Obviously, I want you to respond if anything comes into your mind, but one, if you are thinking about applying for disability benefits, if you're planning on applying, if you are 50 now, getting close to 50, especially if you're already working below SGA, if you're already working below, and earning under $1,620 per month, I would probably file that application soon. I wouldn't wait around to see what change happens because very often when they do come out with these rule changes, it only applies, to people who apply after a certain date. Yes. So I would want to get the wheels turning on my case before they were applying harsher rules. Two, what I really think this is going to do, and when you and I are sitting here talking, we don't really plug ourselves. We don't sit there and tell people, call Liner Legal, talk to us about your case. I won't plug us, but what I will say to people who are watching this is if Social Security does change the rules, particularly age rules, it is going to be more important than ever that you are working with a skilled advocate, whether it's a non-attorney representative or an attorney. And the reason is because a lot of these cross-examination tricks, this stuff that came out in the last year with 24-3P, we're always talking about, well, is there really a sedentary, unskilled occupation base? I think that we're going to have to start going much harder after vocational experts, getting additional limitations included into RFCs for our clients beyond what is good enough for us to win now. And that's going to be very challenging for people to do alone. So I think a couple of things. One, if you're over 50 and you're thinking about applying, you're close to it, especially if you're earning under that amount, I would get it in. And two, really think about working with somebody who focuses on this.
I mean, I've been saying since the beginning of the year, apply now. Even before this shutdown or super reg, were words that ran through my mind. I have been telling people to apply because I don't think anything positive is going to happen with Social Security. No. So for the reasons you said, such as the retroactivity of new rules, as well as the potential slowdowns, get in line now. Yeah. And this is going to create so much work for our federal appeal system because the vast majority of cases that we litigate in federal court come down to vocational evidence. Right. Or to how evidence was considered in general when we're looking for total disability findings. So this will only cut more people off. It'll only make the courts busier. Nothing positive would happen with this reg. So my gut, knocking on wood, tells me I don't think we'll see significant changes. But if we do, there's going to be big problems. And I would certainly echo what you said. Look for skilled representation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, as always, Andrew, it's fun to hang out with you. It's fun to chat it up. I'm expecting that the next time we do this, we're going to have a lot of updates and more interesting news to share with people. I hope it's positive. Yeah. But like you're saying, there's not too much positive that comes up. But I am excited to be able to keep, helping people through these processes and to do it alongside with you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So thank you for tuning in, everybody. This has been another great episode of Bonus Bites, the Disability Download. Thanks for tuning in to Disability Warriors, the Download. If today's episode inspired you, educated you, or gave you hope, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs it. Need help with your disability claim? Visit linerlegal.com today to schedule your free consultation. Stay connected with us on social media for more stories, insights, and victories from the disability community. Until next time, stay strong, stay empowered, and remember, you are not in this alone.
Because your voice matters.
Your fight matters.
And we're with you every step of the way.